Thursday. I do not know how it happens that Thursday comes by so quickly, but here we are, ready and raring to go, should I say. Not just raring to go, but ready and raring to go. And so before we start, first of all, I say good morning. Can you see that? I just told you how ready and raring to go I am, and now I can't get my words to work, or can't get my mouth to work properly. Anyway, before we begin our show, first of all, I'd like to say good morning to my spirit guide, Gregor, who, as always, is standing to my right side. Excuse me. And do I need? Oh, all right then. Unexpectedly, I was a bit taken off guard then, and how interesting is that? And so, yeah, sorry. You must all be wondering, has she gone mad? Has she lost the plot? I haven't actually lost the plot, but so to my right side, I have my spirit guide, Grey Eagle, as always, and to my left and just in front of me, which I didn't expect, I have my Lord and Saviour, Jesus Christ. I'm a bit blown away. But I shouldn't be, because I've been talking to him all morning. But so why I'm blown away by this, I don't know. But anyway, here we are. And I'm a bit sort of speechless. There I was. I thought I was ready and raring to go. And now, anyway. And in the, and we also want to say good morning to Chris. I need to get this together. I need to say good morning to Chris, and I also need to say good morning to all of you for joining me this morning. I'm a little bemused, but that's okay. So let me tell you what happened this morning. Why don't I just tell you what happened this morning? Okay, well, first of all, I think last week, I think on the show last week, we were talking about our Grey Eagle Speaks event. We try to do one every year. And for a very, very long time, Grey Eagle, although I would talk about him, he would rarely, except through me, he would rarely say anything or do anything. But then about 3 or 4 years ago, it was his suggestion that we have events once a year, not too often, but once a year, where he will come through from the spirit world. He will use my physical body, and it's great because it means that all of us who are present, all of us who join the event, can get to actually speak to Grey Eagle or give questions one-on-one to him. And so that's always an exciting thing to do. But the last time we did it, I was talking, I think I said this last week, I was talking to my grandson Reese, and he was asking me, well, what are you going to do, and so on, and I was explaining to him how it worked and so on, and he completely out of the blue said to me, will Jesus be there, Mosey? And I said, I'm not sure, I don't know, darling. He isn't usually, so it's unlikely, but no, we don't usually have that connection with Jesus, but it's a nice idea. Never thought any more about it. Went to get ready, started the show, and I say call it show, much more than a show. Started the event, and Grey Eagle was there, as he always is, and ever present. And at some point during this event, to my amazement and joy, I saw Jesus Christ, Jesus, of course, his name, standing to my left side, exactly where he's standing there now, just patiently listening and waiting. And And uh, and he also was very interactive, and people who had joined our seminar were able to ask questions of him, as well as Grey Eagle, which is, I mean, how often do you get the chance to do that? So this morning I was doing my little Instagram. I like to do a little Instagram blurb every now and again, throughout the week, and I'm sort of thinking to myself, maybe I'll because I like these little things on Instagram to be inspirational little things that help people with their day, and help, if you sort of happen to see it or connect with it, they can just, sort of little inspirational things to give to people that really can boost their day. And especially if you're feeling a bit lost on the day, or if you're feeling that you need a little help or a little inspiration, I think those things really help. Anyway, just rabbiting on here. So I'm thinking maybe I'll mention this, maybe we'll talk about that. And so I sat down and got everything ready, got my phone on its stand and ready to do all of this stuff. And I had already, prior to this, felt the presence of Christ, which is not unusual for me, because I've known Jesus Christ since I was 3 years old. He's probably known me way before that, but I became aware of him and I became enamored with him from the age of 3 years old. And I actually quite clearly remember that moment, that one moment at 3 years old, when he, let's say, appeared in my life. And so he's always been with me. And I've talked his ear off so many times, he probably gets so tired of listening to me. But when I was a teenager, I can remember sort of walking through the streets, whether it was raining or snowing. I didn't want to go home, so anything was preferable to going home. And I would walk the streets, and I would literally bare my soul to Christ and tell him all about how I was feeling, so on and so forth. And I was a member of it actually was a Methodist church, not the same kind of Methodist church that we have in America. We were much more solemn. I think that Methodist churches, or Baptist, sorry, not a Methodist church, Baptist church. I'm sorry, where am I going? Sorry. So Baptist churches here seem to have much more fun than we did. We're British. We're much quieter, and so on. And I remember there was, in the foyer of the church, there was a picture of Christ, and I would always try and get to the church earlier before the service started, because above the altar of the church was this enormous, huge wooden cross. And I would look at the cross, and I would just sort of have my time and my moments with Christ by myself, and talking to him and connecting with him and so on. And as I say, every time there was a problem or an issue, and I would just literally unburden myself to him. So I've known him all of my life. So this morning, feeling his presence was not at all unusual, but seeing more light than usual, seeing perhaps a little bit more energy than usual, sort of as I'm sitting down and getting ready to do my Instagram, I've felt his presence so clearly. I felt his hands on my shoulders so clearly, and I just felt, for whatever reason, I felt him drawing so close to me, and it so warmed me that I actually shared it on Instagram. I did not expect that we would have him here visiting this morning, and I'm not sure if he's going to stay or go or what he's going to do. But anyway, here we are. This is turning out to be a very unusual show, don't you think, Chris? It's like, are we okay? So anyway, over to you. Let me ask you, is there anybody there?
We do have a number of people, even some that showed up early before we were even on. So let us see. Leslie from sunny Apache County, Arizona.
Wait. I think I'm so glad. Leslie, I'm so glad you're here. I lost the envelope with your address. I'm hoping this is the right Leslie. I lost the envelope with your address because I meant to write to you and say, thank you so very much for the earrings. If it's the wrong Leslie, what can I tell you? I sort of just don't know, but I'm hoping that it is because it was so unexpected and they are lovely. And it was just something, it's just, first of all, it was so kind of you to send them to me, and I do thank you for that. And second of all, it's so wonderful because most people know what Arizona means to me, and Greg, of course, is putting his hand on my shoulder as I'm talking to you. Most people know what Arizona means to him too. And it's just wonderful to have something sent to me from Arizona. So thank you. Don't, I didn't want you to think that I didn't have them, but I was unsure as to how to, I had them in my hand yesterday. I'm thinking, how am I going to let this lovely lady know that I've received them, because the envelope went out with the trash. Anyway, so if it's not the right Leslie, well, there we are. Anyway, okay, Chris. Yeah, keep going.
Rhonda's on from Boulder, Colorado, saying, thank you, Rosemary, for adding my dear friend into your healing book.
Um, I'd like, Rhonda, can I give you a little message, please? I was talking about this um, just yesterday or the day before yesterday. I had a consultation with a lovely lady, and one of the people who came through from the spirit world to talk to her was a young man who had, in fact, taken his own life, and the guilt that his family still feel, and this was many years ago that this happened, the guilt that this family still have about this, if only we'd seen, if only we'd known, whatever. So, when awful things happen to us, we do have those moments of wondering if only we could have saved them. And I explained to her, and I'd like to explain this to you. And this is true of all of us, and it's also true of all of our beautiful pets. No matter how much we strive to keep them with us, and no matter what we do or don't do, there is a time for us to be born, and there is a time for us to die. There is a date. I always say there's this like having this big book when we're born, and in this book there are certain things that are written that are set in stone and will without a doubt happen, no matter what, and no matter how much we try to avoid them. And the more I learn about this, this big book, the more I learn about life, the more I realize that we don't have nearly as much perhaps free will as we'd like to think. I think that our choices are much more um, connected to our attitude and to the attitude that we have when things happen to us now. So I've just said I do believe that that's quite clear, and I've had evidence of it so many times as I've been working as a spiritual medium, and there is a time to be born. I predicted my grandson's birthday, date, time to the literally to the second. I've had other experiences where that's been exactly the case. So there's a time to be born. It is written. There's nothing we do about it. It is written. We take our birth. It's a time to take our first breath, and there is a time to take our last breath. So if you could let your lovely friend and her son know that there is a time, and it is written, and however it happens, and what happened was an awful, awful thing, but however it happens, this little thing would have survived if it were not his time, his or her time, I'm not sure. So please, if you could convey that message to them. There is a time for all of us. There is a time for our beautiful pets. I know that I have tried my best with my pets from time to time to hold them close to me, to keep them with me, and unfortunately, when it's time, and there's nothing we can do about it. And however it happens really is immaterial. If it's our time, it's our time. Chris.
Both Tammy and Rhonda are saying hello to my Lord and grateful to be here. I'm getting emotional. What a morning.
All right. Well, you know, let's just, it's Thursday, so we need thoughts for Thursday. We always like to sort of have a thoughtful Thursday. You know, there are so many people on this earth of ours who have never heard of Jesus Christ. They were not Christian, not because they didn't know Christ. They were, and he's smiling as I'm saying this, they were not Christian because they had never heard of him. And around the world, all of us in various, let's say religions. I think religion is the most misused word in the dictionary because it means something different to each and every one of us. But there are so many different religious beliefs, and so many, there are so many, for instance, I'm thinking the Catholic Church reveres Mary, and so many different, I've gone blank for the moment, but there are so many different religions who have their own leaders, their own saviors, whatever. And when I talk about my savior, Jesus Christ, I don't expect that all of you should even know who I'm talking about, or even have any knowledge of Christ, and that's perfectly fine, because we all of us, thank you. So I'm getting a message from him. Well, all roads lead to God. He's reminding me that all roads lead to God, and God loves us all. Wow. And I think that's a great reminder, and I think having reminded us, being here and reminded us of that, I think he's taking off now. so, wow. Anyway, so yes, so all roads lead to God's mansion, if you like. It doesn't matter whether you're a Hindu, whether you're a Buddhist. It doesn't matter if you are a Christian, or if you, I know, don't get upset when I'm saying that. It doesn't matter whether you're a Christian or whether it doesn't really matter whether you're an atheist. It doesn't matter if you don't believe in anything. Because at the end of the day, and it makes me smile, there are so many people I talk to in the spirit world who say, what? What? I didn't know. I didn't realize. I had no clue of what's going on. So whatever your beliefs, whatever your belief systems, when I talk about my Savior, when I talk about Jesus Christ, I don't expect that others should follow where I lead. I don't expect everybody to believe in what I believe in. I just know that my relationship with him is super real, and as I've said, I've known him since I was 3 years old, and boy, the conversations we've had. And the amount of shouting at him I've done from time to time over the years. Yes, well, I remember a wonderful patient of mine, Wendy, who she was my patient for a long time. She had cancer, and I think it was 2 or 3 days before she died, her minister from church came to talk to her and basically gave her a lecture on the fact that she must denounce everything. She must denounce the idea of people like me. We'd been there for her. I would visit her 2 or 3 times a week easily, especially towards the end. And basically told her that it was the devil's work and that she wouldn't enter into the kingdom of heaven and so on. I mean, can you imagine the insensitivity? I don't care whether he could have been anybody. He could have been the Pope for all I care. Can you believe anybody would be so insensitive as to sit by the bedside of a dying woman and put the fear of God into her? If you don't do what I'm telling you to do, you're not going to enter the kingdom of heaven and all that stuff. Anyway, and her husband called me afterwards, and he was a mess. Can you come? And I came. I went to see Wendy. I sat and talked to her. She was a mess. And it was difficult for me because I had to say to her, look, Wendy, if you don't want me to come again, or that's fine. And you believe whatever it is you need to believe. And she said, but how do I know that everything you've said is true? And I said, well, I guess you don't. And that's for each of us. And I said this to her, for each of us, it's our decision to make or not to make. And you need to sort of think on it. Unfortunately, when I left her for the first time ever, and I'd visited her dozens and dozens of times, for the first time ever, I knew I was leaving a patient who was in absolute turmoil. I like to feel that my patients have, when we've given them healing, that they at least feel peaceful and calm, and she was anything but. And I remember going home and to my house in England, and boy, did I shouted at God. I shouted at Christ. I shouted at anybody who would listen. I was so angry, not because Wendy didn't believe in me or anything. I was just so angry that they could allow this poor woman who is knowing she's going to die, but not knowing where is she going to heaven? Is she going to hell? What's going on? And I was so upset and angry with them. I shouted at them. I shouted at me. I was not nice at this point. So I did a lot of shouting, and then I do believe I had a brandy or two, and then I did even more shouting. It's like, anyway, and I remember pacing throughout the night, and I could barely sleep. And anyway, the next morning, very early in the morning, around 7:30 in the morning, the phone started to ring. I pick it up, thinking that it must be my daughter, and it's Wendy's husband. And he said to me, Rosemary, can you come? You have to come. I need you. We need you. And Wendy won't talk to me. She won't say anything to me. She needs to talk to you. So I cancelled all of my day's appointments, and I got in the car, and she lived a good 45-minute drive away from me, and I drove to the house, and I walked in there, and she was sort of sitting propped on pillows, and she was glowing. Now, this is 2 days before she actually died, but she was glowing, and she found it very hard to talk. She didn't have too much energy. but she explained to me that when she went to bed that night, that she prayed that God would help her to figure out, should she have nothing more to do with me? Should she denounce what she'd heard from me, or what should she do? And she was desperately searching for a sign from God. And she told me, she said, I woke up this morning really early. It was about 5 o'clock in the morning. And she said, my room was filled with the brightest light I've ever seen. It was blinding. But it was warm, and it was just, she said, it was just beautiful. And this light seemed to wrap around me. And then she said, then a blue mist, just the faintest, the palest blue mist, started to permeate through the light and wrap around me. And she said, I just knew that this was the sign, because whenever I'd given Wendy healing, I'd always wrapped her in a blue blanket, and I'd always taught her about visualizing the color blue. She said, and I just knew that I was in the presence of God, and that he basically had said to me that they were embracing me. She was so joyful, and she was so happy, and she held me, and we cried together, and we laughed together, and the next day I went to give her healing, and I was about to leave because her family knew that she was very close now. And so her sons were laid on the bed, one on either side of her. Her husband was at her feet. And I was just sitting on the side of the bed holding her hand. And then I whispered to her husband. We thought she was definitely asleep. We thought she was out. And I whispered to her husband really quietly, I'm going to take off and leave you guys to have these last moments with her. And I said it so quietly, and the room was so quiet, and we all thought that she was asleep. And all of a sudden this voice said, no. And it came out of this sleeping, what we thought was a sleeping form. Just Wendy must have somehow heard me say I was leaving. She said no, and she gripped my hand, and she said, please stay. So I stayed for a while. I didn't stay until the very end, because I felt that was the time for her husband and her sons to be with her. It was their special moment. But about 2 hours or so later, I crept out of the house. And so I guess the moral of this story is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you believe in Christ, Allah, Buddha, who knows, whoever it is, it doesn't matter. Because I think in the Bible it says, in God's house there are many mansions, and I believe that. In other words, there's room for all of us, and all roads lead to God. I definitely believe that. So it doesn't matter whether I talk about Christ and you think to yourself, well, that's not for me. I'm not a Christian. It doesn't matter to me. What matters is what is in your heart, what is in your soul. What matters to me is the goodness of God and the glory of this amazing, amazing God force that we have surrounding us. Right, I'm done talking now. It's everybody else's turn. Let's have some comments and some questions, Chris.
All right. Early on, Gary said, Rosemary, how do you have a conversation with Gray Eagle at the same time you are having a conversation with someone else?
Well, that's easy. I mean, Gary, you've been to my house when everybody's talking at once. It's like, and you try to sort through who says what and when, and we have a lot of fun because, people it's the same thing. You know, it's the same. We're all sort of sitting there. Uh, you know, I think one of the Instagrams I talked about, we had I had a little dinner, and I was looking, and everybody's talking all at once, and I was just sitting back looking at everybody, thinking how grateful I am for the friendships and for the, you know, and for the companionship, and because you know I am on my own. I do not have anyone, which I actually don't mind. I'm not a lonely person, but I am on my own, so it's always great for me when guests come over or friends come over. Not really guests, really, are they? Friends come over and we sit and we chat and so on, and you know I'm always grateful for that. But Gary, how many gatherings have you been at my house, and or we've been out somewhere, or we've been to a restaurant, everybody's talking at once, but yet you can have some really great conversations. And so I'm, yeah, that's how it happens, normally, naturally, easily.
Barbara says, what are we able to do in the spiritual world that we cannot do here?
Oh, Great Eagle, boy, oh boy, Great Eagle said we can fly. We can move from place to place much more easily. We are not restricted by our physical selves. You know, here, if we want to go somewhere that is not walking distance, we have to either rely on somebody else to take us, or we get on a plane, or we get in a car, or whatever it is we do. You know, we rely on all those uh, material, you know, airplanes and cars and so on and so forth. And I don't know if you've ever. This is I think it's an Irish saying that Shanks's pony is always good. And for those of you who don't know what Shanks's pony is, Shanks's pony is when you walk by yourself on your two legs and you walk different places. But in the spirit world, we can time is of a very different essence. So we can move at sometimes, I think I'm right in saying, I'm just checking here, at the speed of light. We can move. We can you know, we're uninhibited by any physical, you know, we don't necessarily have to put locks on doors. Think of all the things that we do or have to do on a physical level that we actually, you know, don't need. We you know, and think of, you know, how many times, I'm thinking about how many times I get up in the morning, and actually this morning was great. I didn't have any aches and pains. I got up and I was fine. But sometimes if I've been laying in an odd position, or if I've just had a bad night's sleep or something, I get out of bed, and I have to, it takes me ages. Uh, I'm walking like a crooked little old man, sort of, or I guess crooked little old lady, until my spine starts to straighten up, and I just have to give it a little bit of time for it to stop aching. But we don't have that, because that isn't, you know, we don't have those physical aches and pains anymore. We don't have to deal with, if we're sick, we don't have to deal with any illnesses. I am checking now. I'm asking Greg because I'm now curious, do we have coughs and colds? And he's laughing, and no, because those things are physical things, human things, and we are no longer using our physical body. We're using our etheric body, our spirit body, to for us to travel here, there, and everywhere. So I guess, I bet we can climb mountains, and in fact, I know people who have done. People in the spirit world who have said to me, "We've visited mountains, lakes, rivers, you know, whatever." Anyway, so no restrictions. Chris.
Tammy says, gratitude, 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 gratitude is my first and only thought and feeling. And next, if it's okay, Heavenly Father, Rosemary, and Gray Eagle, I really have to fight to stay here earthside. Is this karma? All my love.
you better fight to stay here. You are meant to be here. You are meant to deal with all of the trials and the tribulations, as we all are. There are no shortcuts. And, there are so many people that I come across who I know that there are certain churches and there are certain, I hate the word religion, but there are certain religions that think that suicide is a sin against God. And quite frankly, I think it's their sin to say that, because people who take their own lives don't willingly go against God. They are tormented. They are struggling. They are in so many ways, they are sick, or they are tired, or they just simply cannot cope with and why would they be punished for that, and what God would punish them for that? That makes no sense to me. But so many people do think that if they take their own lives, that's it. Then they're going to be free of all the trials and all of the tribulations. They're going to be free of all of the issues that they have to deal with. And unfortunately, that isn't the case, because if someone takes their own life, then not only do they have to continue to deal with the issues that they have, because the issues that people have are not really of a physical nature. The issues that we have are how our coping methods and our coping mechanisms, and how we think about things and how we feel about things, and we still got those things to deal with. So nothing is solved or eased in any way by the act of suicide. But then on top of that, we also have the guilt, because we now know we see our families, and as I mentioned earlier on, the family of the young man who took his own life is still, after years and years, are still riddled with guilt. If only they had done something, if only they could do something. And so in so many ways, taking our own life can be a selfish act. And I'm saying that not as a criticism. It's a selfish act because in that moment, because of all of the traumas, and because of our inability to emotionally to deal with these things, we go into ourselves and we can only see what's going on with us. So when I say selfish act, it's not a criticism. It is simply, we're thinking of what we're going through, and just wanting to try to end it or to ease it. Unfortunately, that doesn't work that way. So stop struggling, deal with your life as it is, be joyful for this life, because boy, oh boy, every day I'm grateful for my life. Even on the tough days, even then, because this life of ours is a gift. And everything is attitude. And on Monday, this coming Monday morning, I do believe this after the weekend, on Monday morning, I'm going to be with my co-host, whatever, Al Pisano, and we are going to be talking to a lady who, boy, oh boy, oh boy, was she dealt a tough deck of cards. And we're going to be talking to her. I think it's 11 o'clock on Monday morning. We're going to be talking to her, and we're going to be asking her, she's going to be telling us her story, which is a very, very sad story, but yet such an inspirational story. So if you can join us at 11, and if you can't join us at that time, don't forget, go to YouTube, because you'll find it on YouTube. You can always find this stuff on YouTube anyway afterwards. So, okay, Chris, back to what we're doing here.
All right. Wayne says, I saw Virgin Mary when I got in an accident when I was younger. She put her hands on the steering wheel and saved us. I saw her veil.
Wow. Ooh, I'd love to know more about that story. That sounds like a great story. I've heard so many stories like this, and I'm blessed with so many of my own also. So wow, I'd like to hear more about that. Chris.
Annika says, I always believed that no matter what religion you adhere to, if you are a good person, you go to heaven.
I, oh, ditto. I totally agree. I totally agree.
Violet is saying, auras and chakras, do they extend beyond clothing? There is a new age trend of people protecting their crown chakras by wearing a headscarf or a hat. Would this stop other people's energy affecting it?
Oh, I didn't know that, Violet. I had no clue. Well, good luck with that because it's not going to work. No, clothing has nothing to do with anything at all. It doesn't. You could wear a steel helmet and it still wouldn't matter. Um, and there's no need to protect it. I mean, goodness, it's our energy. It's who we are. What do they? What do they think they're protecting it from? I don't get it. So don't get that. And it won't work anyway because our aura, our energy field, our chakras are, sometimes working at full speed. Sometimes they're get a bit clogged and a bit sluggish, but that doesn't have anything to do with that clothing. That's about who we are, what we are, how we're behaving, what kind of energy we're producing, all of that stuff. We should have a longer conversation about that. I've never heard how really. I won't judge, but never heard anything so ridiculous in all my life. I must have heard other ridiculous things, but that's up there with the most ridiculous. Yeah. Wow. Chris.
Donald says, can you give me a thought of what you feel about me?
Oh gosh. Yes. Um, I can. I can give you a few thoughts, Donald. Um, confused. And you're going to say, no, I'm not confused, but confused and concerned to be on the right path. So, good intentions, because if you're looking to be on the right path, if you're looking to be doing the right thing, even if you've been doing the wrong thing, if you've been looking to do the right thing, it doesn't matter that you were doing the wrong thing because the right thing will come to you. There, you have a few thoughts there. Good luck with that. Chris, I'd love to know what he thinks about that. Chris.
Rhonda says, thank you so much, Rosemary. I will talk with my friend gently and let her watch your video so she can hear it in your words.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, I think, yeah. I mean, we do try to say to people, would you like to share? Because we want you to, for all of you watching, we know you have friends, we know you have family, and we love you to share because it means that we can reach many more people. And the more people we reach with our messages, the more peace people can have, the more inspiration we can put out there into the world. So don't forget to share and like. My daughter tells me this all the time. Don't forget to say share and like. So I'm telling you, don't forget to share and like. Anyway, Chris.
Bonnie says, good morning, Rosemary.
Morning.
My dear friend passed when we were friends for 60 years. I miss her so much. I would like to know if she's okay and does she have a message for me? Thank you. God bless.
Um, it's hard to do this, my love, when this is just an hour long show, and we're sort of coming up to the third quarter now. So I'm listening to Grey Eagle. I can safely tell you she says listening now. I can safely tell you that she's fine, but there's something else. I don't know if she had an issue or a problem with her legs or walking or something, but that's all gone. I don't understand the message because I'm only hearing it very briefly through Grey Eagle. But so let me just put it this way, and her health is great. That works. Okay, so yes, so her health is great, but there's something about, I don't know, her legs or walking or something that was an issue with her. Please let me know. I mean, even if you write in and say that doesn't make any sense to me at all, that's okay, that's fine. But you know, people do want to know when we give these messages. Does Rosemary actually know what she's talking about? And I'm going to tell you, it's Grey Eagle who told me this, so I don't know anything here. I'm just repeating what I'm being told. Keep going, Chris. So I'm not going to be responsible. Keep going.
Sophie says, thank you for letting me hear from my son, Mikey.
And Sophie, when did I do that? So you see, we got to have feedback here, Chris. Come on.
Tammy says, I always tell my dad he better be riding those rainbows.
Oh, nice. I like it.
Eric wants to know.
Yes, he is. Yes.
Eric wants to know, what is light? Could Grey Eagle explain so we could understand?
Well, we're going to be talking more about that when we do our subscription program, which I'm not sure when our, let's say we did a video the other day, and that's going to come out soon so people can know and understand what you can expect when we do our subscription program. But we're going to go much more in depth about these things because these things take far too long for an hour-long show. But I do like the question, so thanks for that.
Penny says, in a previous consultation I had with you.
Oh God, wait. Do I need to duck? Yes.
No.
And so, you know, when people say, Rosemary, you told me, and I'm thinking, oh God, am I in trouble here? Go ahead. In the previous, hi Penny, go ahead.
I was told the main issue why I have not advanced at work is the bureaucracy and lack of support from leadership. Does Grey Eagle think this is still the case today? I also applied for a job. Does Grey Eagle let me know, am I on the right track? Thank you so much. I have been stuck and continue to move forward.
Okay, you're not going to be stuck for too much longer. That's the message I'm giving you. The rest of it, we're not going to go there. But I don't feel that you'll be stuck for too much longer, darling. Chris.
Gary is clarifying his earlier question.
I bet he is.
I meant, like just now, you asked Grey Eagle about coughs and cold, and I didn't hear you ask that. You never moved your lips.
Oh, I didn't. Well, there are lots of ways to communicate, and thought process is one of those ways. I'm sorry, I didn't realize. I didn't actually realize I hadn't said that. You see, sometimes Gregor and I have conversations that you are totally not privy to because you don't hear me ask. But we're talking all the time. It's the power of the mind, the power of thought, and you know, it's a little bit like what is it like? It's a little bit like mind reading. It's actually a lot like mind reading. He can hear my thoughts, I can hear his, but we have we have natural conversations with each other without either of us opening our mouths, probably. So sorry, I didn't realize. But anyway, I can't remember what your question was, but yes, we can talk to each other, and also we can. Okay, we can actually talk to each other, and I can be traveling. How about that? I could be standing in an audience of, I'm just thinking of one particular instance where I was standing in front of an audience of 2,000 people and recounting to them what I was doing, which was, let's say, some of you might call it astral traveling. I don't quite know what I would call it, but I always feel that I'm going back and down and through the hole, and those of you who've read my books will understand that. And again, when we come to subscription time, I'm going to be describing to you what on earth does that mean? What really does it mean? But I know what it means because I'm actually doing it. But I can be standing, my physical body and my etheric body can be moving and traveling so that I can go into the past. I can see what happened with someone in the past. I can see what's going on in the present, but elsewhere than where I'm standing physically. Or I can even go to the future. How weird am I? What can I tell you? It is great, though. I do love it. Chris.
Sophie answered your question about her son Mikey. You gave her the message in Vermont at the high school. She also wants to know, Rosemary, am I on the right path in life?
Okay. Oh my goodness. That's a while ago, my darling. Um, that is a while ago, and I can even picture where you were sitting. Isn't that interesting? And I'm so glad that you understood the message, because there were so many people there that night, and so many messages going on. It was a great night. Um, that was the night when my dear friend Luella actually died, and I'd had to leave her to come to the show. Yeah, I remember I had the worst headache in the world, and I'm standing on the stage praying to God, please take this headache away, otherwise I'm not going to be able to work at all. And as soon as the curtains drew back, and there I was, headache gone. I worked through it all. We went and had great dinner with friends. I went back to bed, headache came back, but that's okay. But then I heard from Luella, which was wonderful, yeah. Um, what was the question? Are you on the right path? Definitely on the right path, but I would caution you, be careful of the teachers. Just because somebody tells you that something is so doesn't necessarily mean that it is. So, and I would say this not just you, Sophie, but to anybody. Um, I would say, there are so many people out there, very well-meaning, wonderful, wonderful people, but a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. So be careful. When you have a teacher, and this includes me, when you have a teacher and that teacher is explaining things to you or suggesting you do this, that, or whatever, just think you are your own person. You have to make up your own mind. And if what you're hearing from somebody doesn't quite feel right, then take a step back and think about things. But yes, I think you're definitely on the right track. Chris.
Erin says, I saw you in Toronto in the late 90s. I still find that your kind words to me about my grandfather give me great comfort.
Oh, I love that. We're going back in time, aren't we? I remember being in Toronto a few times, and I don't know if you were there the time when everybody ran out of tissues, and some woman in the audience said, "I brought toilet roll because I've been here before, Rosemary. I know." We had toilet rolls being handed around the audience, which was a lot of fun, and we all laughed about it. But I'm so pleased that you were able to get a message from your grandfather, and that all these years, you see, once you get a message and you know that it's real, it really resonates with you. This is, if you're getting a message from a real medium, because we know that, you know, there aren't too many of us about. We're a rarity, I think. But when you know it and you hear it and it resonates so much with you, it's something that you will actually never forget. And I'm so pleased that you had that experience.
Andrea's asking, when we have the subscription, can we ask to connect with our loved ones? Is it on the website to sign up? Thank you.
It will be on the website shortly. We're just at this point. We've made the video. Now we have to make some other stuff. In fact, this afternoon we're making some more videos. Okay, the subscription program is not about talking to not about my giving messages to individuals, giving messages from their loved ones. However, that doesn't mean that we won't do it at some point. And it may well be when we do our live, because we're going to have videos, and we're going to have what we call live to tape, which means it's live and then it gets to tape. So you'll be able to see it, but you won't be able to interact. And then there will be at least once a month, because we'll be doing this for 4 weeks, or in a 5-week month, 5 weeks. That there'll be at least once a month there'll be an interactive. So where you can ask questions about the topics that we've talked about. You know, if you want to go more deeply into, or delve more deeply into something that you're learning about, we can do all of that. And we don't ever say that we're not going to talk to the spirit world, because if somebody pops through, they will. But that is not the purpose of this program. The purpose of this program is to help you to understand the deeper things. You know, we talk about the spirit world. What is it? Where is it? What does it look like? We talk about energy. We just had Violet talking about, can we block our chakras? We're going to be talking about things, going more into things. It's going to be a great learning process for everyone. It's not a school, but I will be teaching you, sharing with you with Grey Eagle. And so there'll be times when we do the live, the interactive videos, you'll be able to ask Grey Eagle directly questions, and however he answers them, whether we will be doing trance work or whether he'll be giving his answers as we have done this morning, whichever's going on. We don't know until we get going with it. This is not a planned out thing, although we are planning, but we like to leave room so that people can have time for more questions, or we can delve more into a subject if it's a subject that people really want to get involved with, and how things work. So I'm not saying no, we will not be talking to the spirit world, because I'm always talking to the spirit world, and they're always, if they see a little space, they'll come in there. But that's not what it's fully about. Chris.
Helen says, do you think crystals help with anything or hold any power beside being naturally gorgeous?
Do you know something? I almost, so strange that you asked that question, because I almost brought I have 2 pieces of crystal, and I think that there is energy in any kind of rock formation, whether it's crystal, whether it's granite, no matter what it is, whatever stone, this earth of ours, we live on this earth of ours, which is, pure energy, absolute and pure energy and vibration. And so I think that crystals can absolutely help. I think it's sort of knowing how to use them, which is the issue. And I've had people give me crystal healing, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I'm not going to go into that. Okay, I don't want to be judging anybody else, what anybody else does, but the actual way that you find a crystal, or that the crystal chooses you or you choose it, I usually find that if you're looking for something to aid in healing, it will find you, it will call to you, and you will just reach for it, and you might not even know why you're reaching for it, but it will call you. But again, these things are going to be, we're going to talk more in depth about all of this stuff in our subscription program. The subscription program, just to give you all a heads up on this, we've tried to make it as available to as many people as we can. So we're looking at $5 a week. We're looking at, I think it's $19.99 a month that you would have to pay in order to join the subscription program. But there'll be something every week that you will have from the subscription program. Chris.
All right. Well, you are at time. Lorraine said, how is the future? You said you can travel there.
Well, it depends where I'm traveling to, and it depends who I'm traveling for, and why I'm doing it. So it's a good question, but it's too narrow a question. Chris.
Tammy says, I'm just thirsting to learn more.
Me too, because when I sit with Grey Eagle, I'm going to tell you all a little secret. No matter, we've been together for so many years, and no matter what I learn, and no matter what he tells me, it doesn't matter at all. We were talking about ectoplasm last week, and is it real or isn't it, and so on. And Grey gave me a piece of information, and here I'm thinking that I don't know everything there is to know about ectoplasm. I have experienced it for myself, so you'd think that would make me the expert, but I'm not at all. But then Grey Eagle sort of threw something else into the mix that I didn't know. And for all of the years that we've been working together and talking about all of these things, there's always something else for me to learn. So it's not just you guys who are going on this journey. I'm on this journey with you, and I shall be soaking up all of this great information that we can get. So I'm excited about it. Okay, I think that's it, Chris. I think because I have things to do this afternoon. I don't know about anybody else. And I'm making bacon sandwiches for lunch, just to let you know. I'd love to invite you all, but there's only so much bacon. What can I tell you? Anyway, right, we hope it's been a special morning this morning, and being able to talk to Christ has been my highlight, and of course always with Grey Eagle. And so I hope that you were inspired today. I hope that you were inspired by the stories. Please share, send it out to all of your pals or friends or family. Don't forget, on Monday we're with Al on 11 o'clock, I think it is 11 a.m. on Monday morning. We're going to be talking to a woman whose story will blow you away, I think. Very inspirational. Looking forward to having her on the show. We've tried to get her on, and she finally said yes to us. So we're really looking forward to her. And remember, the show is called Everything is Attitude. And if you can't find it, you want to know more, if you want to know more about me or what we're up to, I did put out a little blurb this morning on Instagram, and so watch for Instagram, watch for YouTube. We're actually, as soon as I get to New York, we're going to be figuring out TikTok. I'm not sure what that actually means because I'm an old woman and I don't know these things, but my daughter knows all about that stuff. Until I see you again, which hopefully is Monday, and if not, we'll be back on Thursday again for our Everything is Attitude, or sorry, wrong, for our The Spirit World Sees All show. And until then, please, everybody, have a very, very blessed rest of the day. Have a joyful and grateful day. Be grateful for this life that He's given to you. I'm certainly grateful to my life. And please, everybody, have a very blessed rest of the weekend. Bye-bye, everybody.